President Donald Trump has, on many occasions, alleged that Omar benefited from Minnesota's high-profile welfare fraud scandal and claimed the Justice Department is examining her activities, while questioning how her net worth exceeded $44 million. Omar has firmly denied the accusations and said the president is obsessed with her.
The president has always had very bigoted, xenophobic, Islamophobic comments when it comes to people who are of Muslim faith or people who are black. We've seen him call African nations as shitholes.
Before we get into the latest controversy surrounding Representative Ilhan Omar and her family's financial disclosures, there's one question that has sparked intense debate across Washington. How did reported business assets, once valued in the millions, suddenly appear to fall to almost nothing on a later disclosure filing? The answer is far more complicated than the headlines suggest. In this video, we'll break down the disclosure reports, the congressional scrutiny, the political accusations, and the responses from all sides. If you enjoy fact-based political analysis that goes beyond the talking points, be sure to like this video, subscribe, and join the conversation below.
Ilhan Omar is not a millionaire anymore, nor is her husband, Tim Mynett. At least that's what her 2025 financial disclosure would have everyone believe. The apparent downfall happened within just 1 year. In 2024, the Minnesota lawmaker's husband valued his venture capital and wine business holdings at as much as $30 million. But according to Omar's 2025 financial disclosure report, that figure had plunged to somewhere between just $200 and $1,000. According to her newly released 2025 financial disclosure report, Tim Mynett earned no income last year from his primary business, Rose Lake Capital. Mynett, a longtime Washington political operative with nearly 20 years of experience, reported earning only between $200 and $1,000 last year, according to Omar's filing. The income came from his now defunct California wine venture, EST Crew, which sold bottles including The Devil's Lie before the company suddenly shut down in April. According to the 2025 financial disclosure report, Omar listed the couple's assets at between $20,000 and $125,000, while their credit card and student loan liabilities totaled between $30,000 and $100,000. The filing suggests their net worth was in the red, ranging from negative $80,000 to negative $95,000. The report, filed on May 13th, came after the couple's reported wealth surged from almost nothing to as much as $30 million in 2024, drawing intense scrutiny and a congressional investigation.
For years, political controversies in Washington have often centered around policy, elections, or congressional battles. But every so often, a story emerges that cuts across party lines and raises a more fundamental question. How much do we really know about the finances of the people elected to represent the public? That's exactly why Representative Ilhan Omar is once again at the center of a growing political firestorm. Newly released financial disclosure documents have reignited questions about wealth, transparency, and accountability after reported business assets connected to her husband appeared to undergo a stunning change in value within a relatively short period of time. According to disclosure filings, business interests that were previously reported as potentially worth millions of dollars later appeared with dramatically lower valuations, triggering renewed scrutiny from lawmakers, political observers, and members of the public. Supporters argue the situation reflects reporting corrections and accounting adjustments. Critics, however, say the numbers raise legitimate questions that deserve answers. Adding fuel to the controversy, congressional investigators have continued examining the circumstances surrounding those filings, while political opponents have used the issue to challenge Omar's credibility. At the same time, Omar has repeatedly rejected allegations of wrongdoing and accused critics of targeting her for political reasons. So what exactly happened? Was this simply a reporting discrepancy that has been blown out of proportion, or does the situation warrant deeper examination? In today's breakdown, we'll separate documented facts from political rhetoric and examine the timeline that led to one of the most talked about financial controversies currently surrounding a member of Congress.
Omar later filed an amended 2024 financial disclosure, valuing Mynett's stakes in both businesses at zero and attributing the discrepancy to an accounting error. In January, the House Oversight Committee, under Chairman James Comer, launched a review of how the squad lawmaker and her husband accumulated millions of dollars in a short period. The scrutiny came as a major $9 billion Somali social services fraud scandal was unfolding in Minnesota. President Donald Trump has, on many occasions, alleged that Omar benefited from Minnesota's high-profile welfare fraud scandal and claimed the Justice Department is examining her activities, while questioning how her net worth exceeded $44 million. Omar has firmly denied the accusations and said the president is obsessed with her.
The president has always had very bigoted, xenophobic, Islamophobic comments when it comes to people who are of Muslim faith or people who are black. We've seen him call African nations as shitholes, and so it's not really surprising. But what is weird to me is just how creepy he's been obsessed with me and the Somali community. The Somali community is very resilient. We're very strong. We are not going to be intimidated or scapegoated, and I think we are seeing just an outpouring of support from our Minnesota neighbors, and so I just know that this is not going to cause any harm to our community.
Let's recap Trump's scathing attacks on Omar on several occasions.
Ilhan Omar, she lives in Somalia. They don't have a government. They don't have a military. They don't have police. They don't have anything. All they have is murder and robbing ships, bringing in ships, pirates. That's stopped. Same missile, ping. That's the end of them. It's amazing how that can stop corruption. Those missiles, they never miss, The same one, exactly the same one. But think of it, she comes from a country with nothing, and she comes here and she tells us about our Constitution. I have a constitutional right to rip off the country. I guess she's a total scam artist. Anybody knows it. How do you let her get away with it? AOC +3. She was one of the three. They're all scammers. They're so bad for our country. They're so bad for our country.
Don't need their people coming into our country telling us what to do.
Are you talking about
I'm talking about like Somalia, where you have a congressman who goes around telling everybody about our Constitution, and yet she supposedly came into our country by marrying her brother. Well, if that's true, she shouldn't be a congressman, and we should throw her the hell out of our country.
She's a disaster. She should not be, and her friends shouldn't be allowed. Frankly, they shouldn't even be allowed to be congresspeople, okay? They shouldn't even be allowed to be congresspeople because they don't represent the interests of our country.
The mayor of Minneapolis, Jacob Frey, is saying that he's actually proud to have the largest Somali community in the country, and his police chief.
Well, then he's a fool.
Well, his police chief is also saying.
I wouldn't be proud to have the largest Somalian. Look at their nation. Look how bad their nation is. It's not even a nation. It's just people walking around killing each other. Look, these Somalians have taken billions of dollars out of our country. They've taken billions and billions of dollars. They have a Representative Ilhan Omar, who they say married her brother. It's a fraud. She tries to deny it now, but you can't really deny it because, it just happened. She shouldn't be allowed to be a congresswoman, and I'm sure people are looking at that. And she should be thrown the hell out of our country. And most of those people, they have destroyed Minnesota, okay? Minnesota, you have an incompetent governor. You have a crooked governor. He's crooked as hell, but he's incompetent. Waltz he should be ashamed. That beautiful land, that beautiful state, it's a hellhole right now. And the Somalians should be out of here. They've destroyed our country. And all they do is complain, complain, complain. You have her. She's always talking about the Constitution provides me with, go back to your own country and figure out your Constitution. All she does is complain about this country, and without this country, she would not be in very good shape. She probably wouldn't be alive right now. So Somalia's considered by many to be the worst country on earth. I don't know. I haven't been there. I won't be there anytime soon, I hope. But what Somalia, what the Somalian people have done to Minnesota is not even believable. It's not even believable. And a lot of it starts with the governor. A lot of it starts with Barack Hussein Obama, because that's when people started coming in. And you have to have people come in that are going to love our country, cherish our country. They want to kiss our country goodnight. They talk about our country. We want them to pray for our country. And this is not the people living in Minnesota. From this moment forward, if you're on public assistance, like almost all Somalis are, did you see where 94% of them are on public assistance? You can't wire money out of the country back to your bank account from where you came. But more importantly, we probably aren't even going to give them the money anymore, the money going to them, because of the tremendous abuse and probably illegality being perpetrated on our country. We're not going to give them the money. We're not giving them the money. It's massive numbers of people are scamming our country. You know, they came from a place with nothing, and they come here and they drive around in Mercedes-Benz. You know, the Mercedes-Benz dealers do well in that area of Minnesota. Can you believe it? They have nothing. They get welfare payments, and they have Mercedes-Benzes. It angers me so much, but we're going to straighten out our country. This was done under Biden and Obama, very much under Obama. It all started under Obama. And we just can't. We've got a great country. We're not going to screw it up. But this was one of the great scams ever. They have the same thing, Somali in Maine. Who would think? I never saw that happening. But in Maine, it's really crooked as hell, too. But it's not just Somali. It is them, but it's not just. There are many other places, many other people. The whole country, if we stop this fraud, this massive fraud, we're going to have a balanced budget. That's how much money you're talking. We'll have a balanced budget without all the growth I'm talking about. And then you add the growth, we got one hell of a country. We're giving 90-day notices to places like California, Scott. Right away, we're going to send out that notice. Who would bill the federal government as people poured into the state to send those people back, because no country can afford to do it. No country can afford to take in millions of people, pay for their education, their health care, their hospitals. You just can't do it. And we all have a heart. You can't do it. But many of those people are murderers. They're people released from jails, prisons, mental institutions, insane asylums. They're people that are drug dealers. They're addicts. Additionally, starting February 1st, we're not making any payments to sanctuary cities or states having sanctuary cities, because they do everything possible to protect criminals at the expense of American citizens, and it breeds fraud and crime and all of the other problems that come. So we're not making any payment to anybody that supports sanctuary cities. We have also suspended nearly 8,000 SBA loans, Small Business Association loans, to suspected scammers in Minnesota, of which there are many. It's a great state. It was a great state. Now it's getting destroyed by that stupid governor. What a stupid guy he is. But he's a crook. I mean, he's an incompetent guy, but he's a crook. He allowed this to go. You can't have corruption on a scale that nobody's ever seen before, and you're sitting as a governor and you don't know what's going on. It's impossible, even though he's a stupid guy.
At this point in the story, it's important to understand why financial disclosure reports matter so much in American politics. Federal lawmakers are required to file annual disclosures designed to provide transparency about their assets, liabilities, income sources, and certain financial interests. The goal is straightforward. Voters should be able to identify potential conflicts of interest and evaluate whether elected officials are acting in the public's interest rather than their own financial interests. But disclosure reports aren't always simple documents. In many cases, assets are reported within broad valuation ranges rather than exact dollar amounts. Business ownership stakes, venture capital investments, and privately held companies can be especially difficult to value accurately because their worth often depends on projections, market conditions, or internal calculations rather than publicly traded stock prices. That complexity is one reason this controversy has attracted so much attention. When financial disclosures appear to show a dramatic increase or decrease in reported wealth, people naturally begin asking questions. Were earlier valuations accurate? Were later valuations accurate? Was there an accounting correction? Did business conditions change? Or was there another explanation entirely? Those are precisely the kinds of questions investigators and ethics reviewers typically examine when reviewing financial filings. Meanwhile, the political environment surrounding this controversy has made the situation even more intense. Omar has long been one of the most polarizing figures in Congress, drawing both strong support and fierce criticism. As a result, nearly every controversy involving her quickly becomes part of a much larger political battle. Supporters argue that allegations should be evaluated based on evidence rather than speculation. They point out that amended disclosures are not uncommon and that correcting filing errors is part of the reporting process. Critics counter that major revisions involving large valuations deserve heightened scrutiny because public confidence depends on accurate reporting. Regardless of where someone stands politically, the broader issue extends beyond any single politician. Public trust in government often depends on transparency. When questions emerge about finances, ethics, or disclosures, voters want clear explanations and verifiable facts. And that's what makes the story so significant. It's not just about one filing or one politician. It's about whether Americans feel confident that the systems designed to ensure accountability are working as intended. What do you think? Should Congress strengthen financial disclosure rules for elected officials, or do current oversight mechanisms already provide enough transparency? Share your thoughts in the comments below, because this debate isn't going away anytime soon. As we reach the end of the story, one thing becomes increasingly clear. Controversies involving financial disclosures rarely end with a single filing or a single headline. Questions surrounding Representative Ilhan Omar's financial reports have now evolved into a broader debate about transparency, accountability, and public trust. On one side are those who believe the explanations provided through amended filings adequately address concerns about the reported valuations. On the other side are critics who argue that significant changes in reported assets justify continued examination by congressional investigators and ethics officials. The reality is that public disclosure systems exist precisely because voters expect openness from their elected representatives. Whether the issue involves a Democrat, a Republican, or an independent lawmaker, the underlying principle remains the same. Public officials are held to higher standards because they serve the public. At the same time, it's equally important to remember that allegations alone do not establish wrongdoing. Investigations, reviews, and official findings exist to determine facts. In today's political climate, accusations often travel faster than evidence, making it more important than ever for citizens to distinguish between verified information and political narratives. As new developments emerge, this story will likely continue generating debate both inside Congress and across the country. Additional reviews, public statements, or future disclosures could shed more light on the questions currently being discussed. Until then, many of the claims and counterclaims will remain subjects of ongoing political and public scrutiny. What makes this story particularly fascinating is how it sits at the intersection of finance, politics, ethics, and public perception. It's a reminder that in modern politics, transparency isn't just a legal requirement, it's often a political necessity. Now we want to hear from you. Do you believe the explanations surrounding these financial disclosures are sufficient? Should lawmakers face stricter reporting requirements? Or do you think political opponents are making more of the issue than the evidence currently supports? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. We read them all and appreciate respectful discussion from every perspective. And if you enjoyed this in-depth breakdown, don't forget to like the video, share it with others who follow political news, and subscribe for more fact-focused reporting, analysis, and coverage of the stories shaping Washington and the nation. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.